Please join me in welcoming Sarah Bell.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Not sure how this is going to go. All right. Thank you. As a very proud graduate of BCIT School of Health Sciences, I am honored and privileged to be here today to address the graduating class of winter 2020. This is a time to reflect on what you've already accomplished and what opportunities lie before you. And it's also a perfect time to show your appreciation for all of those cheerleaders and supporters who have helped you to get to this place. Some of them may be here in this audience, and some may not. There will be those teachers, mentors, friends, and family members who have propelled you forward, who have been there when you've not been sure where to go, and have been supporting you in ways that you can't even quantify. To each and every one of these champions, a great big thank you. Success is never born on an individual without the help of others. Don't let anyone have you believe that that's the case. I remember being in this very building 25 years ago as a nursing class valedictorian, standing up in front of a slightly smaller group of people to recite the nurse's pledge. I was most proud to have my grandma in the audience, sitting up in the back with other members of my family. It was so important to me that she was here. We had always been very close. Up until she died at the age of 91, I hadn't really realized how similar our paths had been. Each of us had completed degrees at university in the arts before later preparing for our careers in nursing. As I watched her in her later years as a nurse, it was her identity as a nurse and that role in her community that grounded her. She went by the handle Nurse Bell, and even near the very end of her life was known to check in on her neighbors to change simple bandages, to make sure they were eating properly and were taking their medications as directed. Her passion gave her purpose, and she leveraged this to stay connected to her profession and her neighbors. She was the one who told me that once a nurse, always a nurse, and she certainly did prove that to be true. What wasn't clear to me on that day when I graduated from BCIT was where my healthcare education would take me. At that time, I really didn't know what was possible. Since, I've had many roles incorporating additive skills with every change, from bedside and community nursing into the private sector, to motherhood, and back to healthcare. To be very honest, it's not what I had planned at all. I remember having a rather amusing interview with a professor at UBC when I was applying for my MBA, who, after reviewing all of the different things I'd done in my life, asked me if I actually knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Being over 40 at the time, I had to tell him that I really didn't know. When I was growing up, it was more likely that a person would select a profession or career and stick to it. These days, it's expected that the average person will change their career 5 to 7 times over their lifetime. The requirement to remain adaptable to rapid change and advances in technology creates a great deal of choice, but it also requires an appreciation for the necessity of continuous learning, and it's a good thing that BCIT is here to support us. BCIT is a special place. It is remarkable how many graduates are employed in their area of interest immediately upon graduation, a tribute to the incredible leadership and the amazing instructors who are committed to sharing their real-life expertise with students. One of the really amazing things that BCIT is able to do is to bring people together to learn who have different experiences with education and work. For some of you, you will have come to BCIT directly from high school. For others, you may have been out in the workplace for some time, or perhaps you've completed studies in another post-secondary education. It may even be the case that you have returned to BCIT for further education. However you have come to this day, you have elected to enter this incredible field at a really exciting time. Providing exceptional healthcare is every bit an art as it is a science. I am confident that each of you has the requisite technical skills to provide the best care to the people who come to you. That really is a guarantee of enrollment at BCIT. You have also been fortunate to have the opportunity for your studies to be integrated into real-life situations to enable you to practice these skills with people. You will need to keep these competencies up to date, of course, but it will be essential that you continue to grow your appreciation for the value and agency of the individuals with whom you work. In fact, in some ways, it's the technical skills that are the easy part. When I was asked if I would consider coming here today to stand up and give my thoughts and perhaps provide some advice, I thought, who am I to do that? And what do I really know? I couldn't really come up with a ready answer, so I thought, no problem, I can work this out. I went to BCIT after all, and I can problem solve. I sent out an email to a disparate group of friends of different ages and various educational backgrounds, an elementary school principal, a bike salesperson, an architect, a couple of students, an executive assistant, a retired businessman, and my 8-year-old niece, Ruby. The email had 2 questions. What was the most important thing you learned at school? And what was the one thing you wish you'd learned at school before you left? And I didn't place any specifications on what school meant. Some of the results were totally entertaining. Needless to say, my bike salesperson friend needs to get a grip and learn how to make his bed, which apparently he missed along the way. If he'd been studying nursing in 1992 at BCIT with me, he'd have had that one nailed down. The feedback, for the most part, was somewhat expected. It included a recognition that formal education is just a starting point, that learning is something you do every day, and that our mistakes make for some of the best lessons of all. On this 14th annual Pink Shirt Day, it is fitting that the most poignant response I received was from my niece, who at 8 years of age said the most important thing that she had learned at school is to be kind to each other. This is such an important message. It really applies universally, but in healthcare, being kind is an imperative. Kindness has its roots in empathy, the connection that allows us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and have a better understanding of what that person is thinking or feeling. Being kind can make the difference between how teams relate to each other, the comfort they feel speaking up in a group, ultimately improving patient care and patient safety. Being kind also changes the way we perceive each other's behavior, enabling us to go from a place of judgment to understanding. This can alter not only a patient's experience of receiving healthcare, but the environment for everyone involved. This can also change how you perceive and find meaning and connection to the important work that you do. We are in such an interesting place in healthcare. With the advent of new and emerging technologies, geographical space is being diminished by our ability to connect. The way we provide and practice healthcare is changing, and rapidly. In fact, I'm not confident we can fully appreciate how quickly we will continue to turn invention and research into practice. It will be important for each of you to figure out how to remain flexible in this quickly changing landscape, to be able to continue to learn and to adapt to these changes. BCIT has prepared you well for this, and as you take the next steps in your career, you will be confident knowing you have the tools you need to succeed. Healthcare is really more than a job. It's truly a calling. Sometimes your work will be hard and your days long. No matter what area you have chosen, whether you will be working in diagnostics, in nursing, or in workplace and public health, you will be privileged to be part of the journey of other people and their families as they navigate sometimes difficult situations. You will know things about them that they may not share with others, and you will carry their stories with you. The privilege of knowing others in this way is also a huge responsibility, and there will be times when you could feel overwhelmed. You will care for your patients and their families, but it is just important that you take care of yourself and your colleagues, to be kind to yourself and each other. The sustainability of the healthcare system is going to be reliant on you, and I really don't mean to be overly dramatic about this, but we all have an important part to play in ensuring that top-notch care continues to be available. Of all of the concerns that keep me awake at night, the greatest is knowing whether or not we will be able to staff our hospitals and health centers with enough specially trained people to meet the needs of our population. These care providers will need to reinvent ways of working together to adapt to the changing environments, all the while remembering the importance of keeping the needs of human beings at the very center. You have the advantage of exceptional training and the experience of building and working in high-functioning teams. You will take these experiences and your skills and translate them into practice for now and for our future. My hope for you is that while you are doing this, you will stay connected to each other and to BCIT. My most sincere congratulations to each and every one of you.